It is one of France's most famous and popular parks. Since it opened in 1987, it has welcomed 60 million visitors and now averages 2 million a year.
It's almost part of France's heritage, like a UFO landing in a rather rural area.
Futuroscope promises imaginative experiences to thrill every member of the family.
It offers immersive, innovative concepts.
The park looks and feels like the future. From its architecture to state-of-the-art screens, special effects, sets, and themed universes.
I think Futuroscope's strength lies in our ability to innovate and create emotions for our visitors.
To keep things fresh, Futuroscope launched an ambitious development plan, with each new visionary attraction bringing its own set of technical hurdles. Like the Aquascope water park, where we're going to explore the challenges faced on site, from building the slides right through the assembly process.
It's a complex phase, a real puzzle. Everything is delivered in kit form.
Then there's the state-of-the-art video system, featuring mapping and interactive projections plunked right in the middle of the water.
Everyone told us it wouldn't work in a chlorinated environment, but we did it anyway.
We'll discover the new technologies that transport visitors to strange worlds with astonishing realism. In Destination Mars, spectators see ceilings explode into flames before being struck by lightning.
We worked on some rather unusual special effects, which require very tight safety measures.
We'll reveal the secrets behind two of the most popular features, each offering almost 80 sessions a day. The Extraordinary Journey, a trip around the world aboard a revolutionary platform. And Tornado Chasers, voted the world's best attraction, whose breathtaking technology plunges visitors right into the eye of the storm.
These are industrial fans that can produce a 50-kilometer wind in just 2 seconds.
We'll also explore how the park is becoming a pioneer of sustainable water and energy management.
Choosing the most energy-efficient pump model incurs a certain cost.
And we'll go behind the scenes to meet the park's creative teams. The builders and designers who'll show us what it takes to see and experience the future right now. Futuroscope always harbored big ambitions because it believed it could make the most of its geographical position. It is located 284 kilometers from Paris, 250 from Bordeaux, and just 12 from Poitiers.
We are one of the few sites in France, maybe even the only one, to have both a train station and a freeway exit.
The A10 freeway is used by people heading to the coast, so it's either a stopover on the way to their destination or just a short trip from wherever they're staying.
Third in terms of size and fourth in terms of visitor numbers, behind Disneyland Paris, Astérix, and Puy de Fou, Futuroscope has embarked on a bold adventure, investing 300 million euros to attract even more visitors. Aquascope is the main project, embracing the challenge of injecting Futuroscope's DNA and its promise of technology into a water park.
That's what it's all about. How do you make a water park that doesn't look like a water park?
We know that water is an extraordinary element for sharing with family and friends. At first, we thought a water park and Futuroscope park wouldn't work.
The first challenge was to find a way to make the water basins look like immersive cinemas within 3 dedicated areas, and in doing so, reconnect with the site's historic know-how.
It's a brilliant playground, meaning an activity visitors will really love that it has the Futuroscope stamp on it. That's to say, the show, the staging, all our know-how built into a water park.
We introduced features not found anywhere else, incorporating both images and water, something you can walk away saying, wow.
3 zones were created, each with its own specific ambitions. The first, dubbed Immersion, is designed to impress fans of innovation with unmatched visual effects. The second, entitled Distraction, plunges youngsters into an imaginary underwater world.
We're inside an underwater rift, and the idea is to create a dream for children, featuring a range of characters.
The final Sensation Zone has specially designed slides.
Water parks are popular with teenagers and young adults, and they're looking for thrills and a challenge. They want to scare themselves.
We have slides you won't see anywhere else.
The ultimate ambition for Aquascope was to make it fit in among the park's collection of bold buildings.
It's also an architectural challenge, because virtually every building in the Futuroscope park has its own unique, iconic architecture. So we need to keep coming up with buildings like that.
With 8 months to go before its opening, the building housing Aquascope is far from complete. Next up is the puzzle-style assembly of the 10 slides, along with the entire interior, including a forest of pumps to filter the water, along with the images that will make up the design aspect of the show.
But the planning schedule is pretty tight, not to say unreasonable if I'm being honest. But we'll get there.
The countdown is on to meet the deadline for the main attraction of this new season. And there are still plenty more challenges to overcome. The park has to think big at this turning point in its history, which began on June 16, 1987, under the auspices of a former government minister and senator, René Monory. The original ambition was to set up a unique science and innovation center in the rural department of Vienne.
Futuroscope's strength lay in being a totally innovative theme park based on the future. It's a niche very few parks outside the United States were positioned in.
As soon as it opened, the park was a huge success. The French public were enthusiastic about the future and flocked to see buildings that have since become iconic, like the Pavillon with its imposing white ball.
There was a degree of curiosity, and of course, the architecture played a part.
Right from the start, the park's great strength was its visuals. They are omnipresent. As symbolized by Kinemax, the largest screen in Europe at the time. At 600 square meters, it is half the size of an Olympic swimming pool. For the first 10 years, attendances grew exponentially, but then came to an abrupt halt at the turn of the millennium.
Soon afterwards, Futuroscope attendances dropped from 2,700,000 to 1,200,000 in just 2 years. That's a huge fall. Major environmental problems were emerging, painting a picture of a future that was less rosy and maybe more realistic. It triggered a certain disavowal of the future in the 2000s.
A fear of the future, combined with the advent of digital technology, was seriously undermining the cinematic experience. The park needed a new lease of life, a way to reinvent itself. And in 2006, one attraction in particular symbolized this rebirth.
Dances with Robots was the trigger for Futuroscope's revival.
The arrival of new sensations brought back the crowds. To the music of a star DJ, thousands of passengers queued up to dance, sometimes upside down, up to 7 meters above the ground, carried by robotic arms.
We came up with something unprecedented in terms of technology, allowing us to move towards an experience that's both sensory and also dreamlike at the same time.
Since its creation, the park has welcomed over 60 million visitors, and today boasts 40 attractions on its 53-hectare site. The boldness of the park's creative teams is driving it to ever higher ambitions. An ambitious attraction began to take shape in 2020 as the park sought to make its mark by plunging visitors into the heart of a tornado, using a series of integrated devices right through the platform, from screens to ceilings. The park's management went to Dubai to check out a prototype still in the testing phase.
This equipment was still under development, and the manufacturer wasn't quite sure what to do with it, so they showed it to us.
It offered the possibility of mixing video projection and virtual reality combined with real action scenes, so that's what we decided to use.
What won them over was seating that could be rotated 360 degrees, thus allowing the teams to bring to fruition an old dream of theirs.
We've been saying over the last 5 or 6 years how the environment is now a real issue for the future. So we can no longer separate environmental issues from the future.
One of the immediate consequences of global warming was chosen, an extreme weather phenomenon on which they decided to spend 21 million euros.
We settled on a hurricane scenario. In the end, we got closer to tornadoes because we wanted to contextualize the story with the Futuroscope site and have it actually take place in the park. Hurricanes only occur at sea, but at Futuroscope, a tornado would be possible. That's how we came up with the tornado chase scenario.
To plunge visitors into the heart of a tornado, the 11-meter diameter circular platform would be moved into this building. Thus began a race against time to reinforce the base in less than 6 months.
The platform weighs 80 tons when loaded and can be lifted more or less 1.5 meters off the ground. That's a huge amount of stress in terms of pulling and compression. So we have a concrete slab 1.5 meters thick made from 200 cubic meters of concrete and 60 tons of steel. It's enormous.
A 75-ton concrete slab with steel beams, also known as IPNs, literally harnesses the platform to the ground to avoid the effects of cracking and tearing, and make sure the installation will stand firm for at least 20 years.
This platform rests on 3 supports, each fitted with 2 motors that activate what we call the heave movements. In other words, the platform rises and falls on each support, so you can really make it rock and yank it about.
Above these 3 supports are 3 other motors to make the structure rotate at the desired speed.
These yo-yo movements can make it turn at 30 kilometers per hour in one direction or in the other.
The platform is just the starting point. 2 million euros were invested in the production of a high-resolution film, and a further 4 million equipping the theater with the latest technological advances.
The biggest innovation is the cylindrical LED screen. It has 800 LED panels laid end to end.
It's the biggest LED screen in Europe. The LED screen offers a host of possibilities, including the ability to light up the room during a projection. We wanted to create lots of lighting effects in the room, and with an LED screen, we can do just that.
The show's designers wanted to enhance the immersive experience even more and trick the viewer using real and virtual scenes. Like this 2-ton 4-wheel drive vehicle, the Tornado Chaser's very own car.
We stripped the pickup down to its bare bones to make it as light as possible, then mounted it on a pivot that allows it to rotate 360 degrees to be moved at 10 kilometers an hour on a quarter-circle rail, so it can really get moving.
The real pickup only becomes virtual a few seconds after entering the turbulence zone.
We made a connection between the pickup that's actually real and the one that appears in the image. That way we can get it to do lots of things virtually.
In the auditorium, while the 120 spectators are projected into the tornado, other mechanisms come into play to simulate rain and gusts of wind.
We had a lot of fun putting clouds together and seeing how we could create wind. So we fitted 6 fans to create a storm. It was such a disappointment when we realized that 6 fans in a space like that had 0 effect. We now have 45.
They're quick-start industrial fans, not like the ones used in the home to create a gentle breeze. Here you can pump out a huge volume of air, 50 kilometers of wind within a couple of seconds.
These bursts are accompanied by a series of special effects.
Smoke pouring from the ceiling. We use spark machines to create arcs of electricity that fall across the stages.
While all these special effects are deployed, the rotating platform's capacities are employed to the full.
We rotate the platform at 30 kilometers per hour while simultaneously raising and lowering it by about 1.5 meters to get all the vibrations and jolts you'll feel in a tornado.
In April 2023 in Los Angeles, at an annual ceremony that recognizes excellence in the entertainment industry, the show was awarded the title of World's Best Attraction.
First, it's a great source of pride. It gives us a certain amount of confidence and momentum.
This title acknowledges the success of what is a complex technical assembly. We believe in immersive experiences, and we work on a limited budget. We don't have the funds available like some of the big American parks.
This is precisely what Futuroscope has to do. Take risks in every one of our creations so that we can offer our visitors something new and breathtaking.
Futuroscope is the only park in France, along with Puy du Fou, to have received such an award for one of its original creations. And it isn't just the award-winning attractions that appeal. Futuroscope has made its mark by focusing on what they call pre-shows.
One of the big problems in theme parks is waiting times. One of the downsides of drawing increasing numbers of people is the limited capacity in relation to our attractions, so people have to wait.
To make the wait more pleasant, themed queues have been created, where visitors are plunged into a new world.
We work on the decor and design. We also create objects for visitors to ponder and think, now what's this? It fires people's imagination.
That way, it's not just wasted time, it's an experience.
For another show, The Extraordinary Journey, the pre-show is divided into 3 rooms, each with its own ambiance and enough interest to fill an average 30-minute wait, making preparation for boarding a more fun experience.
Dear passengers, the shuttle doors are about to open.
The first room we call the departure gate room, which is like a station or airport concourse. There's a digital board telling you where you can get to and from where. Visitors experience something unique they won't find anywhere else. Then we continue with another pre-show where visitors move into another room to enjoy yet another experience, another show in new surroundings.
After that, we try to add little ingredients. You have to think like a big kid. So at some point, we thought, well, how could we move from one room to another so it isn't so boring? If you're traveling on an overhead metro train, you're immediately more entertained.
These pre-shows are also a way of underlining the educational dimension. For tornado chasers, one of the rooms is used to scientifically break down the extreme phenomenon of tornadoes, which spectators are about to experience.
School children come to the park too. So as well as offering thrills, we're tackling an interesting scientific subject. We want people to come away having learned something from the different experiences we offer at Futuroscope.
Every year, the management pour more and more resources and innovation into these pre-shows to introduce the spectacular. As with this holographic theater, where visitors no longer know whether they are looking at a screen or flesh and blood actors.
For the LED screen, we decided to put it on the floor.
The images sent out by this LED screen are projected onto a transparent mirror tilted at 45 degrees. The reflection in this setting creates an optical illusion.
It allows us to integrate fictional characters, which seem real because they appear in front of you, into an actual set.
Some technologies are overlooked because they are obsolete, but we are now able to remodel them using new technologies.
Pre-shows are systematically designed for all the major attractions, which attract up to 10,000 people a day. While they didn't know it at the time, in early 2017, the creative teams were on the verge of producing one of the park's flagship attractions. The Extraordinary Journey, promising to plunge viewers into a journey around the world using a platform and screen of monumental dimensions.
Visitor expectations were evolving. They were looking for something different. We wanted to meet their expectations with a much larger installation.
The initial objective was to identify a unifying theme, conducive to new sensations never before tackled in the park.
We turn to humanity's greatest dreams, and one of the most notable is flying.
The creatives begin to sketch balloons and faraway lands, a whole imaginary world that evokes one of the most famous French authors of the 19th century.
In the world of Jules Verne, there's Around the World in 80 Days, which is a pretty gripping tale.
It isn't 80 days, it's just 4 minutes, during which we immerse the visitor in a journey that's rather extraordinary.
Next came the filmmaking phase, combining 3D and live action to produce breathtaking destinations. For their part, the technical managers had to source a manufacturer able to produce a revolutionary system to take visitors on the journey.
We wanted to set up a large, precise mechanical structure, completely immersive, to send visitors on their trip.
A potential partner was identified in Vancouver, Canada.
We managed to get in touch with a company that basically manufactures astronomical tracking systems with a lot of experience in precision mechanics. So we set up a project with them working on prototypes. The manufacturer suggested a 42-seat machine, but we knew it wouldn't be big enough for Futuroscope.
To keep up with the park's capacity to welcome up to 15,000 visitors a day, capacity had to be increased by a factor of 2.
Each of our great and beautiful attractions must be able to achieve hourly throughputs between 800 and 1,000 per hour.
The gauntlet was thrown down, and after 6 months' work, the constructor succeeded in joining together 2 platforms, side by side, with a total capacity of 84 people.
The machine weighs 110 tons, the same as a commercial aircraft, a Boeing, for example. Then we had to agree on how we wanted it to move and what we actually want to do.
The challenge was to imagine the ideal movements, rotations, and motorizations required to achieve an immersive experience at the heart of a 3D film that was still a work in progress. The focus was on 3 extremely precise movements.
It's a 3-axis platform with 3 main movements. The pivot raises the floor from level 0 to the vertical, going from 0 to 82 degrees in 12 seconds. We have 2 motors mounted on worm screws that turn a large pivot and raise the structure vertically.
The intended effect is to make the audience feel as if they are about to dive into the image. The second movement is designed to send shivers down the spine. The platform can move up and down over short distances with very sudden acceleration.
At one point in the film, there's a little free fall, a base jump, and you feel the fall. Rather than 10 meters, you actually only descend 400 millimeters, but the velocity of the jack descending very quickly gives the feeling of falling. The sensation produced is actually pretty impressive.
This rapid acceleration and braking is made possible by a system of electric cylinders assisted by hydraulic cylinders, with the latter used to smoothly support the end of the movement. The third movement, in the seat, synchronized with the platform pivot, produces an inclination of up to 92 degrees.
It means the visitor's body is plumb with the void, and the sensation often sends shivers down the spines, making people recoil in their seats.
With 8 months to go before opening, a number of crucial stages still need to be completed. First, the logistical challenge of dismantling the platform and transporting it by truck, boat, and train a distance of 8,000 kilometers from Vancouver. Next came the structural work.
One of the technical requirements was fitting it into an existing building with an attraction in it. Of course, the platform wouldn't fit through the door, so the roof had to be peeled away like a tin can to install the platform, then stuck back on.
Futuroscope decided to preserve its existing buildings. While they required complex renovation work to adapt them to the new specifications, they would not be demolished at any cost.
We started by completely removing the existing interior, a huge floor with very large 20-ton beams that had to be cut and dismantled on site. All this was taken out through the roof and removed in small pieces using cranes.
The most arduous part was below ground, with an imposing concrete slab laid 15 meters below the pit, the equivalent of an anti-seismic system. An essential inconvenience, otherwise the vibrations created by the platform could lead to cracks. 6 months before the opening, the platform had finally been reassembled. The next step was to do everything possible to ensure that the film delivered the desired sensations.
Now we were combining technology and imagery.
We could see that unhooking and tilting worked very well, and that the device rising up to face the screen was fantastic.
To take the immersive experience even further, the designers incorporated several ingredients. A 600-meter squared screen, the size of a soccer pitch, curved for enhanced realism. Ultra-powerful laser projectors to broadcast ultra-high-resolution images. Added to all that was a technical feat to stimulate the imagination.
We like to stimulate all 5 senses, complementing a visual sensation with a different feeling, and here decided to play on the sense of smell.
The scent of pine trees wafts over the captivating forests of Yellowstone in the USA. Then the aroma of spices as we fly over the Ganges River in India.
When you stimulate the sense, everyone feels it, recognizes it, and says, "Wow, how did they do that?"
An air venturi system is used. Odors delivered in liquid form are transformed into volatile particles by compressed air. The particles are so light that they remain suspended in the air.
We diffuse them in the canopy, which is the system that sits above the seat while you're traveling. It's another way to immerse visitors, fueling their imagination and conjuring up memories.
Since opening in 2017, the extraordinary journey has been far and away the highest-rated attraction among visitors.
It's an astonishing attraction. The first time you come face-to-face with the image, it's head-spinning. For 7-year-olds and 77-year-olds, however keen they are on sensations, there's a kind of communion. Everyone is on the same page, enjoying the same pleasure, and the experience appeals to all our audiences.
To appeal to all audiences, the park has created surprises everywhere, especially where they are least expected, such as this Space Station Hotel opened in 2022.
One of the main draws of an amusement park is to disconnect from everyday life. So anything we can do to break away from the daily routine is an interesting area of development.
There's time in the attractions, but also time outside the attractions. We work a lot on experiences in the restaurant, in the store, and throughout the visit, spicing things up here and there to surprise visitors during their day.
Management is banking on a novel concept with a new 1,000-seat restaurant christened Space Loop. It's a first in France.
Let's imagine a brand new experience of seeing dishes come down from the ceiling. It's a never-before-seen experiment that allows us to create a wow effect. These are all subjects of exploration, of course.
Here's how it works. Customers order their meals on digital tablets, then watch as they arrive, their eyes glued to these strange, almost weightless rails. To make the experiment a success, the architects designed a building with massive dimensions. 450 square meters of floor space, 9 meters tall, with a huge 18-meter diameter zinc-covered dome.
The dome is a technical achievement since it's actually made from shotcrete. We had to make a timber frame, which was then sprayed. Next, we put in a layer of insulation, which is usually machined in a rectangular shape, but here it was bent to follow the shape as closely as possible before adding the zinc finish.
The designers then worked on the lighting with 2 objectives in mind. Guaranteed intimacy using controlled lighting, and the provision of a futuristic touch, highlighting the roller coaster tracks along with elements that are usually hidden, such as the industrial ducts.
Ducts aren't actually aesthetic, yet through a luminous halo produced by simple lead strip, we've succeeded in making them almost aesthetic, even using them in the restaurant.
The achievement is to deliver a dish such as filet mignon of pork in a sauce with no breakages after a spectacular journey of precise steps, starting below the restaurant in the kitchens.
It comes out of the kitchens rising via two 8.50-meter conveyors to an area known as the dispatch.
Here, an operator picks up the dishes, known as cassolettes, before sending them to one of the 16 tables.
From there, it's all downhill, about 15 degrees at first. Some tables have 2 loops, some have 3 loops, and others have 7 loops. It all depends on which table you're at.
Many weeks of testing were required to solve the problem of breakages, or rather unstructured and unpresentable dishes.
The looping was challenging. This was the test for many of our dishes. Desserts, for example, are the most complicated, since they don't completely fill up the cassoulet.
For the 3 chocolate coulants, for example, changes had to be made to the temperature of the container and the texture of the chantilly cream.
It took a great deal of trickery with the whipped cream, etc., to prevent the 3 melting pieces from colliding with each other on the way down. So much testing has been carried out on stabilizing dishes that can now be launched into a loop and arrive on your table in perfect condition.
Space loop, a timeless moment of respite in an almost lunar universe. An interlude before returning to the series of breathtaking sensations. Just 3 months to go before Aquascope opens to the public. This brand new experience has required an investment of 60 million euros. As the schedule is so tight, all the skilled workers, a total of 200 of them, are working in parallel. The IT tool introduced by project managers has been indispensable.
It's a 3-dimensional model that combines everything connected with the building's architecture and construction and allows us to check that it's all working properly, that the electrician is in the right place, likewise the plumber, and that the architect hasn't put a wall where there shouldn't be one.
The software provides a real-time view of the site's progress, particularly in the 2 most technical areas. First, this underground area housing the entire water filtration system spread over 7,500 square meters. The second sensitive area is this hub, the impressive 360-degree spiral, the emblem of Aquascope.
This really is the project's beacon. It's basically made from inflated plastic sheets of ETFE, which allow us to light it up in the middle of the night. It's 27 meters high, or taller than any of the surrounding buildings.
This hub is where the most complex operation begins, the assembly of these 10 interlocking slides whose curves intertwine.
At first glance, the layout of the various slides looks like a plate of spaghetti.
It's a complex phase, a real puzzle. Everything arrives in kit form.
As the slides are so close together, a precise order must be respected. First, the climbers tackle the large spiral slide. Then it's the turn of the 2 largest parts to be assembled on the ground before being secured to the posts. Next, the 4 starting points, each at their own level, are positioned.
So you climb block by block, advancing little by little, which creates a number of problems. You don't start at point A and then work your way to point B, but rather pass through several intermediate stages without being sure that you'll end up in the right place.
It's an arduous process, and the slides, as intended, are sure to be a standout feature. Not made from plastic, but resin, which is more aesthetic and resistant to corrosion.
We went to see a manufacturer who suggested we print all the slides digitally so that each slide could tell a story.
It's a choice that serves to attract two specific types of clientele: families and thrill seekers.
It's our famous rocket, where the ground below vanishes and you're free-falling at breakneck speed. Don't worry, it's safe. It's all been checked out, but you still get a dose of adrenaline when we hit 3, 2, 1, here we go, and the trap door opens. There's a second big slide, a family slide, where the whole family can go up together. This slide is a world exclusive. It's never been done anywhere else and required a lot of testing.
With 90 days to go before opening, while the slides are still being assembled, another crucial stage is already attracting attention. This is the immersion zone, with its promise of embodying the park's futuristic DNA.
It's an almost iconic Futuroscope signature zone, combining water with imagery.
A major unknown is how the latest video equipment will react to being immersed in the heart of an aquatic area.
Everyone told us it wouldn't work in a chlorinated environment, but we did it anyway. Let's see.
Invisible prototypes have been specially manufactured to protect sensitive equipment with integrated air conditioning.
We fitted waterproofing between the two spaces and brought invisible glass control panels from the ceiling to prevent premature aging.
The resistance of these materials to the hostile chlorinated environment is vital because all the magic relies on video effects.
The idea is to take visitors into an alien world. You enter to be met by a 7-meter wall of completely mapped faux rock that evolves according to the cycles.
The most surprising thing of all is that these submerged beaches are conducive to fantasy.
An immersed beach is a place where you have a gentle trickle of water with projection and direct interaction with visitors. The environment evolves as you move through the water.
A presence detector allows us to react to the movement of all visitors and thus make them wonder, is it the water that's special? Is it the image? How come they get the feeling that the water is alive?
The teams have even less room for error, as testing of the slides and videos only takes place at the last minute, barely 3 weeks before the public opening. The park has taken on construction challenges before, as in 2020, when the creative teams wanted to launch the very first roller coaster. 500 meters of track with rotating cars for added thrills, featuring an outdoor section for acceleration and an indoor section filled with surprises.
The public was insisting, so we gave in and tried to see how we could incorporate a thrill ride. Roller coasters are a must at many theme parks, but there were none at Futuroscope. If Futuroscope had a roller coaster, what would it be?
For this first roller coaster, the designers came up with a concept: gauging the suitability of passengers for a trip to Mars. The first test is gravity, with this vertiginous descent. Acceleration is 10 to 55 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. Then into the tunnel with its 2 major surprises.
We were working on some rather unusual special effects, which have very demanding safety requirements, so it was a bit of a challenge in terms of organization.
The first challenge was to simulate a solar flare with plasma projections.
The hardest part with any building is setting fire to it.
There are plenty of fake fire effects out there, but the difference is that with real fire, you can actually feel the heat.
We found flame effect systems that set the ceiling ablaze, so it produces a real wow effect when the passengers pass by on the train.
The park is equipped with indoor fire technology. 3 burners acting like flamethrowers produce jets of fire over a 3-meter wide span.
For the ceiling, we used fireproof sheet metal to maintain the flames and prevent damage to the building, along with a suction system to extract any fumes that may be released.
The second spectacular effect, just a few meters away, is the passage through magnetic fields, featuring an explosion at nearly 120 decibels.
The effect takes you by surprise. It's a loud noise, which you aren't expecting, so it delivers a shock. But it's an extraordinary effect. Somewhere along the line, we managed to master lightning.
To achieve this lightning effect, 3 Tesla coils are used to transform electrical energy into an impressive visual spectacle. To protect visitors and restrict electric arcs, this Faraday cage acts as a shield, with its metal structure impervious to magnetic fields.
The Faraday cage is designed to be far from the visitor, so as not to cause any problems. But whatever happens, this cage makes sure the arc will always seek this point to discharge as rapidly as possible, connecting to the metal part to safely discharge the arc.
Flame effects, explosions at 2-minute intervals. Each attraction having its own range of spectacular effects. It's a never-ending show that requires constant behind-the-scenes maintenance and safety operations. At peak times, the park has 15,000 visitors a day. Attractions such as the Extraordinary Journey and Tornado Chasers run up to 80 times a day. A team of 10 technicians is on hand at all times to ensure the safety and long-term operation of the equipment. Every morning, 2 hours before opening, all the platforms are inspected, like here on the Extraordinary Journey.
We carry out safety tests and initiate self-testing procedures, particularly on the positioning of braking systems. If ever the system should stop for any reason, everything would be safe.
Once the mechanics have been tested, visual and technical checks are carried out following a predetermined checklist.
It means we can state that the machine is okay. It's been checked. We know what time we need to leave and green light the opening to visitors.
Finally, a few minutes before the first visitors board, the safety bars and seatbelts are checked one last time.
The Extraordinary Voyage is fitted with lap belts with double position detection to ensure that visitors are properly secured.
If all the lights are green, the attractions can open. The technical crews must remain on the alert. For this reason, they have managed to automate certain time-consuming operations. Under the dome of the Space Loop restaurant, for example, to ensure the smooth running of the rail that serves up to 2,000 dishes and drinks every day.
The designer came up with a small robot which carries wipes so that once or twice a month, the rails can be thoroughly cleaned to achieve sufficient adhesion. Not too much, though, or the cassoulettes might come down too quickly.
On stage, a series of devices protects operators and actors. On Tornado Chasers, the actor needs to be close to a 4.5-ton door that closes in seconds. To avoid any danger, a detector mat has been installed.
It's a small 50-centimeter square mat with sensors connected to our safety chain. Then, at a certain point in the time code, door number 1 is programmed to go down only if someone is on the mat. So the operator has to be right on it, knowing he is a long way from the door, which can move in complete safety.
A few seconds later, the same actor runs to his vehicle, which only starts up on one condition.
It's not the operator who makes the bully move. He has to be seated behind the wheel with the door closed, then hold down the 2 dead men buttons by way of saying, "I'm in position, I'm here," and the vehicle can start moving.
Some interventions prove more tricky, like those practiced this morning on the Dancing with Robots attraction.
We've got 10 robots, all synchronized, and one is made to develop a fault, so it'll stop. The operators present are trained in using the remote controls, which allow you to take control of each robot individually and bring visitors back safely, robot by robot, if required.
Every 3 months, a more catastrophic scenario is simulated. An overall power failure with a series of failures in all the emergency generators and inverters.
A series of failures could happen, in which case we're trained in manual evacuation. This means that we have systems in place to bring platforms back manually and evacuate people safely.
In less than 25 minutes, passengers need to be set free. Whether they're stuck upside down on a robot that has suddenly stopped dancing, or on an almost weightless platform. Each new creation is designed with the aim of incorporating the very best environmental technologies to optimize energy resources and consume as little as possible. Park first acquired this heat pump in 2022. This system saves 200 tons of CO2 emissions a year, equivalent to 109 cars on the road.
It works using gas within a closed circuit that is successfully compressed and expands. It actually works like a refrigerator. And it means you can have 2 circuits coming out of the heat pump. One to provide heat or produce domestic hot water, or another for cooling and air conditioning systems.
The major revolution comes with the park's water circuit, which was completely redesigned in the very early stages of the Aquascope project.
We're building a water park, a structure that consumes a lot of energy and water. How can we make it as energy efficient as possible?
After a series of successive droughts, water is becoming an increasingly precious resource. Filling all the infrastructure's basins requires 2,500 cubic meters of water every day.
We're fortunate here to have groundwater that isn't lacking in any way. It's constantly replenished, even in times of drought. So we take it from the site and inject it into the Aquascope basins.
This water is constantly filtered using the most advanced system available, using filters beneath the basins, driven by a jungle of underground pumps.
We use diatomaceous earth filtration, which is the most efficient technology, both in terms of water quality and water consumption.
We typically filter using particles of between 2 and 5 microns, whereas a sand filter tends to filter between 30 and 40 microns, so we're much more efficient.
We use almost 100 times less water than conventional sand filtration. The additional cost of that is actually around 1.5 million, so it's an issue that was taken very seriously right from the outset.
Every evening, as required by law for all swimming pools in France, 30 liters per bather must be emptied.
We thought about how to recycle the water, so it passes through a dechlorination base, then through 2,000 square meters of filtering gardens, close to the Aquascope building, which allows the water molecules to be reused for the watering needs in other nearby facilities, such as the hotel here.
The entire infrastructure has been designed to produce zero water loss and ensure that it returns to its natural state in the best possible quality, so it flows back into the nearby river Clain after being used 3 times.
While costly, the system means better precious resources can be preserved, and also allows the park to meet the expectations of a public increasingly demanding of virtuous initiatives. With just 3 weeks to go, the main stages of the project have been completed. But a few small operations need to be carried out before the safety assessments.
We still have to disinfect the basins, clean up, add the finishing touches. We're on the final sprint now. We get up early and finish late. The aim is to be ready on time.
There's a little extra spirit at Futuroscope that allows us to increase our collective energy tenfold and rise above challenges. That's what's really making the difference today.
In this final phase, the full range of video effects can finally be tested. These are what make the project so special, and they need to embody the DNA of Futuroscope.
It's totally consistent with all the CGI we validated at the end of the design phase. We take the photos, capture the reality, and it's exactly what we imagined. So we're proud and happy to have successfully translated our artistic intentions into reality.
The teams are torn between the elation of successfully completing the work and the apprehension that comes before a public opening. After an investment of 60 million euros, everyone knows the park's future success will be at stake over the coming weeks.
Until we see the faces of the families and children, we can't know. So we'll be scrutinizing them carefully and with no little anxiety.
I admit I'm kind of emotional. It's like giving birth. We've been carrying the project for a very long time, so the fact of seeing someone enter the site and have a good time, enjoying themselves, I can't wait. I'm very emotional.
Barely time to take a breath, and we're off to the next major attraction, called Bermuda. A water roller coaster, a world premiere, scheduled to open in spring 2025.